Hey guys, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, welcome to Code with Chris. I'm Chris, and today we're going to be talking about variable and method scoping in Objective-C. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's get started. Once again, you can download this particular Xcode project in the description or click an annotation on the screen. So first, I'm going to start off with creating a class, and we've seen how to do this in previous videos. I'm just going to create another class called myClass. I'm going to put it in the root directory. And let's look in the interface file. So we're going to talk about the different access levels for variables first. So if I wanted to declare some instance variables, I'd open up a set of curly braces, and for example, if I wanted to do an integer, I'd go something like that, and by default this is protected. So what that means is that any subclass of my class can access this instance variable, and that's the equivalent of typing something like this, and then I can list out all of my protected variables. So by default already, any variable I declare without this is protected. If I wanted to declare public variables that any class could access, then I would go like this, public. And then there is also private. So if you wanted to declare private variables, something like that, then it would only be accessible to your implementation of that class. Now let's talk about methods. So we saw before that you'd declare an instance method, something like that. But what if you wanted a private method? So what you can do is in the implementation file, you can declare what's called a class extension, and it's basically a private interface where you would put your methods and stuff. So if you take a look at ViewController, and this ViewController class was created for us by Xcode by default, go into ViewController.m, and you'll notice up here that there's like a stub for a private interface for ViewController, and this is in the .m file. So we would kind of do the same thing in my class. See, class extension, my class. And if I declared a method in here, this method wouldn't be accessible to other classes. And also, if you wanted to declare private instance variables, you could also do it in here by opening up a set of curly braces and declaring it in there. As far as I know, I don't think there is a difference if you do it in the header file or in this class extension. So now let's test out some of this stuff. If we go back to ViewController.m, I'm going to import my class, and then I'm just going to create a new instance of it. Allocate it and initialize it. And then I am going to try to access some of the stuff that we talked about. So, for example, if I try to call a method, you'll see that we declared in myClass.m, we declared a private method. And then in the header file, we declared an instance method called myMethod. Let's change that to myInstanceMethod. And then in here, you can see if my class instance. Okay, let's see what's wrong here. Okay, so we've got an incomplete. I think we have to fill this in actually. So let's return 0. And we'll go back here. So now you'll see that you can access my instance method. But however, let's assign that. Now, however, you cannot access my private method. So you can see it doesn't even come up. In terms of variables, we have, what did we declare in terms of variables here? We have two public variables, myInt and myBool, and myInt2 is a private variable. You can see in here. So you can even see from here that myBool and myInt are accessible while myInt2 is not. So there's another way to declare a private method. The first way we did it was by declaring a private method in our class extension, this private interface here. And then the second part to that would be actually implementing that private method in here and saying return 1 or something like that. And I'd be able to, oh, this is a void, so let's change that to return an integer, and it returns 1. So in my instance method, I could actually call self, this instance, and access that private method. Now, a second way of doing it is I can forego declaring it up here in the interface at all. And just go ahead and implement one. And I'd be able to use it just the same. And then if we go to viewController.m, I can show you that we wouldn't be able to access either private method. I think we named it my private method, so you can see if we tried to do that, it would not let us. Did we call it my? Oh, we just called it private method and other private method. So let's go back. Yeah, so it's the same thing. We wouldn't be able to access the private method. So as you can see, there are many different ways for you to control the scope of your variables and methods. But whatever way you choose, I would recommend you to be consistent throughout your Xcode project. Now for your fact of the day. Did you know that the keyboard on the iPhone, the one that slides up when you hit a text box, that little keyboard there supports 21 languages. So I know typing in English, because I'm an English speaking person, it's pretty good, but I'm interested to know, for those of you who use your iPhone in a different language, if you find that experience just as good, or if it's, let me know if it's very cumbersome, because I imagine with, some of the Asian languages with, tons of characters, that it might be really hard to type out a full sentence, or it might take a lot of different keystrokes. So let me know in the comment section below.